Don't be a Sulu. Don't drive with your e-brake on. Welcome to this very special edition of A Strange New Pod. I am your captain and host this week, Julian, alongside my trusty bridge crew, who we promise have all graduated from Starfleet Academy, the Borg Queen of Puns, Ensign Brittany, the Picard doppelganger we all know and love, Mr. Lieutenant Hawk, and the Destroyer of Vulcan, Iowa bar fight champion 10 years running, the only officer to graduate from Starfleet Academy twice, the savior of Romulus, Ensign Aaron. Admiral Eric is dealing with kind of an imminent warp core breach going on, so we'll see him next week, but we wish him all the luck with that. He's with the damage control team right now. Anyway, real quickly, this is because I'm running the stream and things always get a little bit screwed up. Hawk is saying he has no sound. Are you good now? Hello?
I want to say no. We can hear you, but I think Hawk might be in the gas or the red alert chamber.
Red alert. Hawk, can you talk? Oh, he can't hear us at all.
Yeah. Well, these things happen, you know? We're using a new system.
Good times, good times.
Here, let me try this.
Just gives us time to get
internet connection's really low.
I like how Eric is like, stupid furnace.
There we go. Hawk? No?
No. Maybe his Nero impression was too good.
Yeah, he could hear us.
Maybe he got stuck back in time.
Uh-oh. Hate it when I go back in time.
Oh man. Well,
I see some hellos there in the chats. Hi guys.
Yeah.
What up, peeps?
Difficulties. This always happens.
Eric's there. Got J Crabsap.
Yeah, Eric literally keeps our show running. So.
Engine Nerd 21. Hi guys. I hope you guys all had fun watching the movie last night.
Hey Hawk.
Let's try smacking the computer. Just kidding.
It works. It's the taking the Nintendo cartridge and blowing it. You just gotta be like, whoo, 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 whoo. And then
you see, recently they disproved that. They're like, you should never blown all the
totally
cartridges.
Bad.
I know, but I was like, hear me out. It did work though. Just like licking the Nintendo 64 thing would make it give that extra juice.
Wait,
like
Hawk, can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Sorry.
Oh,
when it went to the title screen, apparently it just changed all my settings for some reason.
Oh,
nice.
Well, here we are. We're good.
Well, see, I smacked my computer, and we're good.
Anywho, we also have a very, very, very special guest tonight. Joining us from our patron collective, we welcome Talix aboard. Welcome.
Woo, Talix.
Collective.
Who's got the echo now? Hawk.
I can hear
that was crazy.
Sorry.
I think that's coming through your headphones.
Yeah, it is. So I'm good.
Oh, it's coming from you, Talix?
Yeah, it was coming from me.
Oh, sorry.
You got that hype.
Let me try that one more time. This is what happens when I run the stream.
Hey, we pulled a Nero and we went back in time and had the same conversation.
That's right.
Let me do that intro again. We all have a very special guest tonight joining us from our awesome Patreon collective. We welcome Talix aboard. Welcome.
Woo!
Welcome.
Yay!
If you didn't know, we do a monthly now drawing for one of our awesome Patreon collective members at the Cerritos Lounge level to join us on the pod. And Talix chose our Star Trek 2009 deep dive, which we are going to get into in just a little bit. But Talix, when we have a guest on, at least when I try and remember to get it in the outline, we always like to ask what your favorite Trek is, your favorite episode, and your favorite character.
Okay. My favorite Trek is definitely DS9. I'm old enough to remember when it was, on first run in syndication. And I just fell in love with it, and I've never stopped loving it. Let's see. My favorite episode. You mean overall, or like of DS9, or what?
Of any Trek.
Of any Trek. I just watched it today, yesteryear, from the animated series, because it's about Spock, and Spock is my favorite character. So,
well, there you go.
Yep.
2 birds with 1 stone. There, I love it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to get into this deep dive. So all week long, guys, you've seen us, just kind of spamming the hell out of JJ's films. It's like free advertising all again. But hyping up the movie from 2009, trailers, posters, fun facts, the works. The trailers were really popular. People were eating that up. It's so cool seeing those again. I loved watching them. And then last night on our Discord collective, which if you would like, you can join right here. Boom.
Woo!
Wow.
This is
Wow, we got
you get to do fancy things like that. Join our Discord. We watched Star Trek 2009 with all of our awesome Discord collective. It was a lot of fun. And we're gonna get into this in just a second and deep dive JJ's 2009 film. But before we do, we have to say thank you to Sam Dillard and Samo Studios for always keeping our awesome intro and outro and taking us into the final frontier and beyond. We also have some quick news. If you've been on our social media channels over the past couple of days, you noticed our new video series aptly titled Strange New News, hosted by our very own Brittany. So Brittany,
Me.
tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, if you like keeping up to date on all things that are happening in the Star Trek world, no matter what media, you can just check out our cool new news segments now. New news, do you like that? Haha. We thought it was punny. We're Strange New Pod, like Strange New Worlds, so why not give you some strange new news? So they won't be very long, but little like 1 to 5 minute just weekly clips, so that way you're up to date on the news. And if any news like randomly comes out, we need to spontaneously do something, it'll come to you in wonderful video form.
Awesome. And I had a lot of fun editing it because Brittany's doing the awesome vocals for it, and hence vocal tones. And,
Vocal tones.
I'm dipping my feet into video editing, and yeah, we're gonna have more of those. We'll probably have one for you next week, and I think Brittany and I maybe talked about doing a couple other little fun ones, like some countdown series and things like that. So stay tuned for more little videos. It's gonna be fun.
So exciting!
Yeah.
Speaking of Brittany, how can people go about supporting our show, Strange New Pod?
Well, if you don't already follow us on social media and love all of our amazing memes and news and different things, you can head over to our Patreon, which we usually have linked on our social media pages. And
you mean this Patreon?
Ding! Wow, look at that shameless plug. But yeah, have no shame because you can join at multiple different tiers. I'm used to saying the one for our other podcast, so I'm probably going to mess up, but I think this one is 1, 2, and 5.
You got it.
Okay, you can do $1 a month, $2 a month, or $5 a month, and you go up in rank basically as you do it. You can be like in the Cerritos Lounge with us if you're like really hot here. I don't know. We might have to make more. People want more. Either way, you get cool stickers for our show, which are awesome. We also have cool pins for our collective that join us, and lots of cool things. Possibly more merch in the future. Look at that badgie. Look at that. So yeah, you can join this really awesome community. No matter what, our Discord is free, but if you join our Patreon, then you can join our patrons only little chat in Discord also on top of that. And it's just a blast. You get so much awesome content.
Blast.
Yeah, you can go on Patreon. That's Aaron's name on our Discord in case you guys didn't know.
That's right.
So if you go on Patreon, it'll tell you what each level will give you, but no matter what, it's going to be awesome. And it's only going to get better. We want to give you more bang for your buck.
We do. We're actually sitting tight at 19 patrons right now. And if we get to 20, we are going to add a 4th tier. So it's going to be like a captain's yacht, or I don't know, the admiral's boardroom, some place where shady shit happens. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but
who knows?
You'll be able to ascend to another plane of existence with a koala.
I wanted it to be like the Sonic showers, but
What?
I don't know.
What are we offering for that? Oh, God.
I don't know. I was just like thinking of different places on the ship that are just odd.
Rob on Twitch
They're like, ooh, there must be.
said shady shit. How about Quarks?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Admiral's Lounge. That's pretty good.
Admirals.
Anyway, we'll figure it out. But if you like us already, check out our Patreon because you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, check it out. Speaking of our awesome patron collective, Hawk, how can never mind, not how can. Brittany did the how can.
It's okay.
Hey, how do we how I can't speak.
Who do we?
Who
do we?
God, it's been a day, guys. It's been a day. Who do we have to thank for supporting Strange New Pod?
We have our awesome Patreon collective comprised of Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Mag, and Bradley. And Bradley, Spotted Giraffe, Mitch
Giraffe.
Thatcher, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noah Santos, Kong Wee, JD, Takako Nugumo, Kara Kennedy, Patrick Hazard, and Mark. Thank you.
Woo-woo.
Thank you for
The
supporting
one
our
and
show
only
and
Mark?
always being there.
Mark wanted me to just use
Marky and the
first
Funky
name
Bunch?
because I think we may have botched his last name last week. So he's like, just call me Mark. So
Mark.
makes things easy.
Mark.
Giraffe is just Spotted Giraffe now. She doesn't have a real name. So
That
yeah.
is her real name.
It
Maybe
is.
she can get it changed to that when she gets married.
Legally?
Maybe.
Yes.
Right?
No, it would be Spock or why am I forgetting the name of the
Spock
guy
and
who's
Giraffe?
currently Spock?
Spock.
My
Giraffe.
brain is not working.
What, Ethan Peck?
Yeah, Ethan Peck. There you go. It would just be like a giraffe Peck.
I like that.
I was going to
But
say
that sounds
spotted
weird. It
peck,
sounds
but
like they're
that sounds
eating, like-
weird.
Anyway, we're moving on.
We
It
are
sounds like a disease.
It does. As always, guys, every single week we have our fun little question that we do, which is called the Strange New Loop. And this week, the question is, and of course, as always, Twitch, YouTube, get in on this. We want to hear your answers too. If you could see any Star Trek incarnation get the JJ Abrams reboot treatment, however way you want, and a full recast, which series would you choose? And
All right.
Aaron's ready.
I'm ready with this one. And I'm sure Eric will be happy to hear that I'm going to say Enterprise, damn it. Listen, Enterprise
Whoa.
was a shit show. And it could use a little bit of a remake. I think JJ could do some good things with it. He would still have fun, but I think it would look really cool. I think it would be fun. I think one of the problems with Enterprise, it just felt like a drag to me. So JJ's got that like very quick thing. And I think it could be cool, man.
Lensflare.
Yeah, and there's so many characters that need like they need something, man. Like let's help T'Pol out and give her some agency and a storyline, and Captain Archer to not be a dick. And I want, even bring back the Beagle. Come on, I want the Beagle to come back.
Porthos.
Porthos.
Yeah, T'Pol needs to not be into pain anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Julian made a me joke. Yes.
Well, you
Eric's in the comments. He's Enterprise, damn it.
of course, he's Enterprise. Who's next? Who wants to go next?
I'm conflicted.
Tell us.
I want to see more Deep Space Nine because that's also my favorite Talix, but I don't know if I can handle seeing another Jadzia Dax. If it's not Terry walking on the screen and I audibly gasp, like, who am I as a person, So, yeah, I'm conflicted.
That's fair.
I don't know if I want like a specific show that already exists to be remade. I just want more. All the
But
new things.
Who would you fan cast if you had to recast Jadzia Dax? Come on, fan cast her.
Don't
Come
you
on.
ever
Come on.
ask me.
Wait, why would you need to recast her? She doesn't age.
That's true. She's still
True,
gorgeous
Terry
and
can come back.
badass.
Terry can
Yeah.
still get it. So
Again.
Just change
how
the
dare
backstory
you
a little
Dax
bit. She
me
could be
that
a little.
question?
She could be Commander Dax. She could just be a little bit older, a little bit, even more wise. Come on, let's do it.
So before we move on, Giraffe didn't hear the question, so we're gonna repeat the question. The question is, if you could give any Star Trek incarnation the JJ Abrams reboot recast treatment, which series would you choose? That's simple. That's a good one. Before we move on to the rest of the folks in our group, I'm going to read Rob's answer on Twitch, who says, Voyager, it could totally get BSG-ified in 2021. Low on supplies, ship beaten up over the course of the series. Pick up a Pegasus, Equinox, for a ragtag fleet for a while. Lots of cool stuff you could do with that. I like that answer.
I like the BSG, if you guys can't tell. See my flag back there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be cool, man. I would love to see that. And because I think they can keep all of what made Voyager cool, because they almost did that. They were running out of supplies here and there, but it never really got, you never really felt it, and they didn't have that overarching story. So I like that idea. I would watch it.
Yeah, I'd watch it too, for sure. Hawk, Talix, either of you have an answer yet?
Yeah, no, this is a difficult one because I can't see them touching TNG. In particular, Picard. Like, I just cannot see anyone else playing the role in that. And I know
He got
probably
his
like
reboot.
TOS fans and that, like, probably said the same thing about Kirk and that.
On especially
it
Spock,
worked.
right?
Yeah, and Spock especially, and that it worked out well for them, But personally, I'm just not sure TNG could, it's the right way to go. If I had to choose a series, I'd probably have to go with Voyager in that, because it lends itself to the more interesting of a reboot in that, DS9 would just really be, just on the space station and that, so there's no travel involved in that.
How dare you? Meet me on the promenade, sir. I'll throw you off the second story.
But if we were doing a JJ like reboot of a series and that brought to the screen and that, it would need to have like heavy, that high kind of like action, sequence. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Voyager on this one.
I know, Deep Space Nine, they went to
Everyone
war,
in the
but okay.
Yeah.
The chat's loving Voyager too. A lot of people
They
love
are.
it. Patrick Hazard says Voyager. I think Patrick Hazard's watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, he is.
That's cool, man. And we've got the original series from JC Crabsap.
Oh, the
And
series
there's a
from
lot
Joe.
going on in the comments, you guys. JJ's
That's the
DS9
animated
would be
series.
Babylon 5. I like that.
Yeah.
Alex, what have you chosen? Unless you don't know.
Gosh, I would say probably TNG, because I would like to see the casting. They did a wonderful job with the original series. I can't argue with that. So just out of sheer curiosity, I'd like to see what they could do with TNG.
Eric,
Let Picard and Beverly be together.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Eric might be with you, Alex. James McAvoy as Picard.
I mean, he's already done, Patrick Stewart in X-Men.
Don't know how I feel about
And
that. He's a
And
great
all
actor.
those films
but
work out wonderfully.
And where
Hey.
says keep JJ away from Cisco.
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Lexi with an interesting casting choice for Janeway, Kate Blanchett.
I don't know if I'm here for that. I need a redhead up in there.
She's done the redhead thing for.
Played red.
I want Kate Mulgrew, damn it.
Well, she can come back too.
Yeah.
She can still be Janeway.
Rob
She's
is
a prodigy.
beaming somebody into a wormhole.
Oh,
Jay.
I saw
They're
that.
battling in the comments.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
I
Well,
Nice.
it's their
Let them
Dominion.
fight.
I like it.
Let them fight.
Well, Aaron stole mine because I too was going to say Enterprise because it's also my least favorite series. So why not reboot it? I would want to see a more, I don't know, rugged type ship maybe for the Enterprise. Like the Enterprise was always too sleek for the Enterprise era. Like it looked like the Akira class starship. I always had such an issue with it. And I don't know, man. I just really don't like Scott Bakula. Like I just don't like him. And I think Archer's an ass. Maybe JJ can make him a better human being. I don't know. But I'd like to see Enterprise do something better than what we got. So
Yeah. And that ship, like, why did they make it look like a submarine with the knee knockers around the doorways? Like, I get it, like you want to have airlocky situations, but like we have planes and stuff and they don't have that. I just felt like I felt like everything was so on the nose, the way that they put that together. It was like, oh, this is obviously this. Like there was nothing fun and magical about it. It just made me sad. Everything about that show made me sad.
Yeah.
The saddest.
Sorry,
I
Eric.
don't want to watch it.
Eric's crying in
Oh,
his
it's gonna be a slog.
non-heated basement.
Oh, man.
Eric's gonna
Yeah.
be like, I'm never missing an episode again.
Nope, because it's a free for all shitting on Enterprise. I love it.
Oh, and Rob in the comments said I
and-
was shit talking DS9. I was not shit talking DS9.
No one was shit talking DS9. We all love DS9.
Anyway, we got a whole thing we got to review. So
You know what, Brittany? I will get us back on track when I say it's time to get up. That was my best Captain Archer. Because he's a douche. No, we do have a whole podcast to get to, so let's get to it. It is our Star Trek 2009 deep dive, and we have been so stoked and excited to do this episode. I can't wait to get into it. And as always, we have our synopsis to read. And Talix, we gave you the honor, if you are comfortable, if you would like to read the synopsis.
Sure. Aboard the USS Enterprise, the most sophisticated starship ever built, a novice crew embarks on its maiden voyage. Their path takes them on a collision course with Nero, played by Eric Bana, a Romulan commander whose mission of vengeance threatens all mankind. For humanity to survive, a rebellious young officer named James T. Kirk, Chris Pine, and a coolly logical Vulcan named Spock, Zachary Quinto, must move beyond their rivalry, and find a way to defeat Nero before it's too late.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
And usually some of these synopses, they're hit or miss, but that's a pretty decent one. Some of them are like on CBS All Access when we're watching Disco. They're like one-liners. This one was pretty good.
Because they gotta leave the mystery.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna do this like we did Nemesis and Insurrection and all the TNG deep dives. We're gonna kind of go by act, but I intentionally split 2009 into 4 acts because I used The Hook as its own act, which is the beginning of the film with the Kelvin and George Kirk and Kirk being born, because for me it's one of the best openings in film history. But we'll get to that. Aaron, take it away with our beginning of Star Trek 2009.
Okay, so in 2233, the Federation starship, the USS Kelvin, was investigating a lightning storm in space. A Romulan ship, the Narada, emerges from the storm and attacks the Kelvin. And
Aaron,
the Narada... What's up?
Your voice went like really low and you're clipping again.
Yeah, it sounded like you're trying to impersonate me.
Yeah, it was really...
I was like, wow, that's rude.
It might be because I'm reading it from my computer, and when I turn to my notes, it might be taking out all of my power. Let me try again. If it sucks, tell me.
It's
all right.
You're still
it's still happening.
Yeah.
Oh no. I think somebody else should read it.
I'll read it.
Well, hold on. Before you do, Aaron, can you just exit out of your notes real quick to see if it goes back to normal?
I have just done so. Better?
Wow,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Do I sound like crap?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to sit here and smile.
Can you we're gonna go on and we're gonna keep going, but can you leave and come back?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good thing we segued, right?
Right.
I can read it.
Giraffe goes, I love your jazz voice, Aaron.
Yeah, she sounded like Cisco, and I was like, whoa.
It was really funny. All right, take it away, Britt.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
Oh, this one?
What the hell is going on?
Exactly. So, in 2233, the Federation starship USS Kelvin was investigating a lightning storm. Heard that before. In space. So, a Romulan ship called the Narada... Aaron's back. Called the Narada, emerges from the storm and attacks the Kelvin. Narada's first officer, Aiel, demands the Kelvin's captain, Robau?
I believe it's
Robau. Okay. I hope I didn't pronounce it wrong. He was there for a hot second. So Robau to come aboard and negotiate a truce. Robau is questioned about the current stardate and an ambassador, Spock, whom he doesn't recognize. Narada's commander, Nero, kills him and resumes attacking the Kelvin. George Kirk, Kelvin's first officer, orders the ship's personnel, including his pregnant wife, Winona, to abandon ship while he pilots the Kelvin on a collision course with Narada. Kirk sacrifices his life to ensure Winona's survival as she gives birth to James T. Kirk. This is quite possibly one of the best movie openings or hooks in film history, according to Julian. How did this hit you the first time you saw the film?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I'm not going to go first because I just talked a lot. So someone else should go.
For me, like the one standout moment is the sequence where the escape pods are leaving and we get to see that long distance shot of the ship. The scope of it and that, like in today, kind of really changed like our familiarity with the way we view Star Trek and that, like the distance and that, and how tiny those little things were and that, and how kind of like how lonely it was for all them out that far in space. That's always the image that I take away from it.
Yeah.
I have a favorite moment, but I'll wait.
No, hit it. Do it.
Do it.
Okay. So whenever I think about this part, the whole beginning, it's really awesome. But I remember even going to the movie theaters. I wasn't super versed in Trek, but I'd seen some episodes. So immediately just that really intense action and the part where the hull gets breached and someone gets ripped out and hits like one of the phasers, like I was just like, oh my god. I like remember everybody in the theater was so shocked because everybody knows like Star Trek, even in the like the worst battles, you don't see something like that happen. So when you saw somebody get ripped out into space and it's like completely silent, then you hear them like boom, like hit. Oh man.
Well, it's like not even like it's that really silent
it's a silent like you can tell like they hit though. Yeah. So that sticks with me, and that's what I think of whenever you mention this opening. Other than like crying for the last minute.
Yeah. Talix, how about you?
I was kind of ambivalent about the movie when I heard that they were, rebooting and recasting the original series. So when I saw that opening, I just could breathe a little better. I was holding my breath until it was over, and then I realized that the movie was actually probably going to be pretty good, after that. So I relaxed a lot.
After the death incarnation.
After the death.
The baby was born, we're fine.
Yeah.
But that's a great point though, because it does give you that like sigh of relief, because it is so well done, and there's something about everything, just the way it was moved and the way it was shot, where you're like, okay, like we're in for this like really wild ride, and I absolutely love that. Aaron, how about you?
Oh man, who doesn't love it? I thought the whole thing just looked really good. Like we were just talking. Do I sound bad again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who this
you
new
guys
Aaron is, but he is interesting.
Oh man, sorry.
Keep
Aaron,
going without me. Go team, go.
Sorry.
I'm chat.
Okay, go into the chat. Okay.
Bye, Aaron.
Bye, Aaron. Sorry.
Bye.
Sorry.
And then there were 4.
There were 4. Man. Okay, so when I saw this, so fun little fact, humble brag, I got to see this 2 weeks early, because FYE was doing like one of those like come get a screening, and like first 25 people to get a screening. So like I rushed my ass. This is when the gallery Brittany was still the gallery, and they had like all the 90s mall shops in there still. And I went and I got it 2 weeks early, and I was just like, I don't know, I was like sweaty. I was like, I really hope this is good. Like Star Trek's my favorite thing in the world. And then I got there, that opening from the slate music with like the Paramount logo, and and then just there was something about the way the music worked. Whose phone went off? Who did it?
Mute.
I didn't hear anything.
When the ship is just like it's sliding, like the camera's like panning down the ship, and it's got like the old school sound effects, like that brought me into it immediately. And then just all the actors were really good in this role, even though they had minimal screen time. You get introduced to Eric Bana, and then just the cinematography and the CG, even for 2009, there's already better CG, right? But it was just so good and so emotional. And Michael Giacchino, who's one of the best composers out there right now, set the entire mood for this movie with his score for this opening of the film. And George shooting a torpedo out of the sky that was about to hit the medical shuttle that was carrying his almost born or just born son. Like, it's so emotional, it's so good. And when after George crashes Kelvin into the Narada, and it goes to titles, and you see the shuttles going away, and it's like the bump, 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 and the title comes, and you're like, okay, I'm in, I'm ready, let's go, we're in for a ride.
I'm in the shuttle, I'm escaping.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so good. We could touch on a little bit more. I want to get a little bit of the reactions from Twitch and YouTube here. Apparently, according to Lexi, they were going to intercut Spock's birth with Kirk's birth in the original film. Would you guys have liked that?
Not really, because this was all about like that kind of dynamic shift that they were going for in that, because like as we know in the prime timeline, and that his father was a big influence on James T. Kirk's life, and that and the fact that they focused all on him and like having to come to the rescue and that and save save everybody on the ship, and that if it's too important to to have to intercut between that and Spock, this was all about this big shift that we're experiencing.
Yeah. Anybody else on that?
I think it would have, like, I see why they would want to do that, because they kept doing sort of parallels between them throughout the film, like showing that they're both these important and iconic characters, and that like weird different relationship both of them had together at first because of that. But I think it probably would have made the opening scene like less powerful, I think, if it would have cut away to what Spock was going through, because you have that catastrophe and then you have Vulcan later as another catastrophe, and that's their separate traumas, and that's how the parallels worked, and I think that's better.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Talix, I just noticed you're wearing your badgie pin. I love it.
Yeah.
So cute.
On the ocean.
Back on Twitch, NYRL, I said, after 4 years of no new Trek, it was great to have something new to see. 2009 is the only one of the Kelvinverse films I saw multiple times in theater. Rob said there's a real scale to the intro too, how huge the Singularity and the Narada look versus the Kelvin, which was like tiny, and evokes the Star Destroyer and the Tantive 4 at the start of Star Wars. So yeah, absolutely, just lots of good stuff going on real quick. And then Eric said, because he's not here and I want to read stuff from him, we wish you were here, Eric.
Yeah,
mad props to Bedbert for doing all the sound effects and sound design. Big Star Trek nerd and the man who made all the sound effects for Star Wars. So that's awesome. I feel like I knew that, but it's nice to be refreshed that he did the sound effects for this movie, because they were so good.
Yeah, the pew pews were on point.
Yeah, they were pew pew pew. Anyway, let's anything else on the intro, or do we want to move on to Act 1?
I think we're pretty
No,
good.
all right.
Yeah, I think
Well,
we're
in the words of Captain Pike, hit it.
All right. So Act 1, 17 years later on the planet Vulcan, a young Spock is accepted to join the Vulcan Science Academy. Realizing that the Academy views his human mother, Amanda, as a, quote, disadvantage, he joins Starfleet instead. On Earth, Kirk becomes a adult following a bar fight with Starfleet cadets accompanying Nyota Uhura. Kirk meets Captain Christopher Pike, who encourages him to enlist in Starfleet Academy, where Kirk meets and befriends Dr. Leonard McCoy. And 3 years later, Commander Spock accuses Kirk of cheating during the Kobayashi Maru simulation. Kirk argues that cheating was... Kirk argues that cheating was acceptable because the simulation was designed to be unbeatable. The disciplinary hearing is interrupted by a distress signal from Vulcan. So, guys, what do we think of seeing at least partially the way Kirk and Spock grew up and the people that they grew up to be? The difference between Kirk's origin story, Starfleet Academy? Let's hit it.
I think it makes a lot of sense how they did it. Like, as soon as you know that his dad died and you see this sort of like recklessness about him, the Kirk that we see in the Kelvinverse makes sense because of the way that his life has gone. That being said, the only part of this movie I really don't like is the bar fight part, as much as he's reckless
Really?
or whatever. Well, to me, it's just like the way he talks to Uhura. I'm like happy when the other cadets come up, because I'm like, good, at least somebody's gonna step up to this and be like, you're a piece of shit. Like, she was like, I speak so many languages, like how many do I have to learn to tell you to fuck off? Like, I didn't know. I was just like, go ahead, Zoe Saldana. Like, I wanted her to kick him across the table, but womp womp. But other than that, I love Kirk and in this, the way that he is in the Kelvinverse is still cool. It's just that one thing. I'm just like, you could have just gotten into a fight with anybody here just being a dick. Why'd you have to bug Uhura? Like, leave her alone.
I thought you actually meant the actual fight.
Yes.
She was the hottest
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
It was
couldn't help
the
himself.
smallest dive bar in Iowa. It's not like he had a lot to choose from.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
I thought you meant the actual fight scene, which I think was wonderfully
no, the fight scene
choreographed.
is fun, and it definitely shows that he's definitely not in training. But it's just like I get secondhand embarrassment every time I see that scene where I'm just like, oh, Kirk, honey, no. Like, just stop now.
If you only knew.
I know. It just gets worse. I'm like, don't ask for her name. She won't give it to you. But yeah.
Yeah, Hawk or Talix, hit it. Whichever one wants to go first.
Let's see. Where do we start from this? We are introduced to a very kind of emotionally, fragile Vulcan in Spock, and that we see he's highly intelligent and that. I love the little those little learning cubicles and that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how close.
Yeah,
I'm wondering how closely, this kind of Spock resembles, the prime timeline Spock in his childhood. And was this something that was very difficult for him in that, getting hold of these emotions growing up?
Yeah. One thing that I like to think about as we were watching yesterday, speaking of Spock and the way he grew up, was watching the film with our Discord collective. Mark brought up that we could that Michael could have been right in the next to him, right? Obviously it's a different timeline and things got changed, but it's nice to think about maybe Michael's still being there, like the same things that happen in the first timeline still happen to her parents, and you could see her. It's little things like that that are fun to think about.
Little Michael, I support it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, in the episode yesteryear, I was talking about being my favorite episode. There's a scene in that with the 3 kids that's echoed in the 2009 movie, and I thought that was super interesting. That was something that I appreciated that Abrams brought to the screen as well.
The 3 kids that beat him
the
up.
3 kids, yeah, that come up to him and bully him, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the fun facts that we posted about the movie. Apparently, yesteryear was a huge influence on the film.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool to think about.
Yep.
I really got to rewatch the animated series.
Yeah. There is something before I give my thoughts on this that I want to talk about. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Rob brought this up. The deleted Klingon subplot. It's really cool, but since it's not in the movie, Nero apparently just does nothing for 20 years as we see, Spock join Starfleet and Kirk, do Starfleet Academy. But where's Nero during this? There's a whole subplot of this film that didn't make it in, where we see that Nero and his crew have been put on Rurapente, which is the Klingon prison where they do the dilithium mining from Star Trek 6, and that whole thing got deleted. But a lot of the deleted scenes are in the special features, and it's a really cool subplot that I would have really liked to see. Did you guys know about the Klingon subplot? Did you wish it was kept in, or do you think it would have ruined the pace of the film?
Probably would have ruined the pacing of the film. And that I like that he just this was all he had left to live for with his revenge, and the fact that he just kind of sat silently for 27 years. I believe that was 27 years, was it?
Yeah,
it's all he had to cling on to.
Yeah.
There we go. I set Brittany up for
I
one.
think this is just like his Aaron Burr moment. He was just lying in wait. Just wait for it. Anyway,
I had to. How about you, Tyson? Would you liked it or no?
I could have probably taken it or left it. It probably would have made the movie a little bit too long.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Let Klingons be bygones. That's what I say.
Yeah. I really like seeing Spock when he's about to be invited to join the Vulcan Science Academy, and the asshole Vulcans just have to bring up Amanda, and the fact that he's half human and him being half human is like, you know what? I'm gonna go and join Starfleet, but thank you very much. And they're like, is this some kind of emotional response? Like, are you doing this? He's like, no, I'm just expressing gratitude. And he gives the most fuck you, live long and prosper, which is one of the best moments of the film. That's one of my favorite parts of Act 1. As far as
that's when you salute like this. You're like, bye.
It's Mariner all over again. Oh man, as far as Kirk goes, the bar fight's fine. My favorite part of probably one of my I feel like I said this when we were watching it last night. I have like 20,000 different favorite parts of this movie, but one of my favorite parts is when Pike is just looking at him on the floor. It's like, "You all right, son?" And just his whole speech, like, your father was captain of a starship for 8 minutes. He saved 800 or 12 minutes and saved 800 lives, including yours. I dare you to do better. Everything about that is awesome. And Kirk's cockiness, like, still after getting his ass handed to him, just being like, "Oh, you guys must be really low on your quota." I loved everything about that scene. The only complaint I have about Act 1 is I feel like they didn't spend enough time at Starfleet Academy. Like, it was fun seeing the Kobayashi Maru, but you basically get him on the shuttle with Bones, the Kobayashi Maru, the trial where he basically, for like the first time in this movie, like the first out of 100, tells Spock to fuck off, and then all of a sudden, boom, the Narada's coming, and they have to board the ships. I wish we had gotten a little bit more on,
like a training montage.
yeah, on Starfleet Academy. So
Yeah, but
It's like always him and Spock racing each other, writing down their tests, see who's faster.
With Survivor playing in the background.
Exactly.
and Alex, you like this? NY Rowlight in the chat wrote, one of my favorite parts of yesteryear is hearing young Spock saying how much he wanted to, quote unquote, show the bullies he had learned to do the
Vulcan neck pinch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I wonder why they called the ship the Narada.
Does it mean something? Because I don't.
Like, there's that famous like Hindu sage that's Narada, but I don't think it has anything to do with that because Eric Bana's on a killing spree. But also apparently it's like Aborigine for like plains, like grassy plains. So I'm like, why this word?
I feel like that hologram of his pregnant wife is in a grassy plain, so maybe he named it because they live on a farm or something.
Maybe.
We'll never know. We'll never know. Anything else anybody wants to touch on from Act 1, ranging from Kirk being in Starfleet, Spock growing up?
Not enough Uhura.
Yeah,
that is true. There's not enough of her. There's almost no background for her. So
yeah, we only get like the weird, awkward bedroom scene. They have to have the sex appeal. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing I would bring up, I did love the scene with Spock when he turned down the Vulcan Science Academy and that, and I think it was definitely not an emotional response to it. In that, I think once they mentioned the fact of his mother, I think he understood exactly how high he could have rose, and that there was always going to be a glass ceiling for him there, and that. So it was a completely logical decision on his part.
And Discovery does such a great parallel to that in Lathe, right? When Michael gets turned down for basically the same reason, like, you're not Vulcan, your parents are human, you have a half human foster mom, you're only going to get so far. So I love how Discovery later touched on that as well.
Vulcans really like to burn them bridges, don't they?
Ooh!
Shut up, Wesley.
Anyway, I did like Rachel Nichols appears as the roommate of Uhura.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's, like, sleeping with, because I really liked Continuum. That happened, I think, a little after this movie came out or whatever. But I was just like, oh man, she played the Orion in that movie.
She did. JD Haven brings up a good point. They said, I wonder how much Discovery would have been different if Bruce Greenwood played Pike in season 2. No one can replace my handsome Anson.
I was gonna say I don't know.
No.
Kelvin people stay in their Kelvin timeline, unfortunately.
Also brought up bringing in Zachary Quinto as Spock instead of Ethan Peck, and I'm like, no. Give me Ethan Peck all day. Yeah, Lexi's with us. Greenwood is great, but Mount is pinnacle.
Yes.
Act 1. Are we headed into Act 2?
Heck yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Brittany, hit it.
With the primary fleet out of range, the cadets are mobilized. Because, that's what we do. We take the least trained people and we're like, let's take to the stars and fight crime.
And they get fucking killed.
Yep. Anyway, with Kirk, he gets left out due to his academic suspension, because classic frat boy Kirk. He's got to mess it up. And McCoy finds a loophole for him to board Pike's ship, the Enterprise, which her also makes sure she's on too.
I love
And
that
that's-
moment. I love that. And she's like, am I
Oh,
not your best student?
She's like,
"Okay."
I'm the most qualified. What is going on?
Mhm.
And he's like, I didn't want to show any preference or favoritism. And she's just like, yeah, I'm on that ship. I was just like, ooh.
Yeah, she's like, screw that. I'm on the ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
I was
just
like,
love
you're my
spots,
favorite.
like you can't see it on screen, but you know he's definitely blushing in that moment. He's like,
Yeah.
indeed you are. Carry on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love how all you see is him like touch the pad, and he's like,
Yes,
yep.
ma'am.
And- Captain Uhura, let's go.
Mhm.
So realizing the quote lightning storm is observed near Vulcan. That is observed near Vulcan is similar to the one that occurred when he was born. Kirk breaks protocol in the most Kirk way possible to convince Pike that the distress signal is a trap. Admiral Akbar reporting for duty. Let's stop here for a second and just talk about the initial Enterprise reveal. What did you feel in the theater when the shuttles approached the space dock and Giacchino's score rised up?
Right.
You know, they gotta take those moments where they show you the whole ship and it's like the and Lower Decks did it. Lower Decks captured this also.
All 13 minutes in the motion picture.
Yes.
Yeah, that face that Carl Urban had on. Yeah, that's the same face I had. Just awe.
Yeah.
Plain awe.
He's like the best part. I think he does a really good job as McCoy. Like,
Yes, he does.
like he had no right doing that well.
Mhm.
I was just like, everybody knew their roles, but like you really knew your role.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I love that line. Well, oh, sorry, Hawk. When they first meet and he's like, "Don't you pander to me, kid." Oh, loved it. I loved
So
it.
good.
I know, because he was such an unexpected choice for me in that, because I'd only seen him in a handful of films up until that point. I think the first film I ever really knew him from was the second
Lord of the Rings.
Jason Bourne. No, actually, yeah, that's true. I didn't even like. I had to go back and kind of realize that he was in that. The first one I really realized was he played that Russian agent from the second Jason Bourne movie. You guys,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
yeah. And then Doom.
Is that Supremacy?
Ultimatum.
Legacy Supremacy Ultimatum.
I don't know.
I thought
It's been a bit.
yeah. No, it's Identity, Ultimatum.
Identity Ultimatum
Supremacy. Supremacy, and then Legacy.
Legacy.
But anyways.
There's too many damn names. God damn.
Meanwhile, on Star Trek,
I know.
Whatever.
Anyways, he was such an unexpected casting, but he really just nailed it. Didn't go for like a deep kind of DeForest Kelly impersonation in that, but he found his own way of telling it.
yeah.
I do love the score from this movie and in that scene a lot because you're like, oh, it's the ship. Made me get excited.
You know, I'm hesitant to shit on this moment because it is like one of the best Starship
But
reveals.
you're going to, aren't you, Julie?
Yeah, do it.
I'm not going to shit on it, but the one little complaint I'll make is that it's a little bit sad that Kirk is sick in this moment because, like, listen, this is the ship that he loves more than any woman. Like, this is his baby. It's going to be his baby for years and years and years. And the first time he gets to see it in this movie, he's got like Andorian mud knees or something, and
like larva.
Bones just kind of like nudge him and be like, "Jim, look."
And he's like sweating profusely. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And then he's just like, "Wow!" And that's a great moment because that's when the score picks up, right? And
it cured him of a sickness, honestly.
Well, yeah, but then he got hands and
numb tongue and
Romulan.
And ow! Did you stop doing that?
It's so beautiful though, and people either love or hate the new Enterprise. We'll be talking about that a lot later, but you don't need 13 minutes to do a Starship reveal. As great as it is in the motion picture, this is great music, right to the point. You cut in to Spock going up the turbo lift and into the bridge, and Pike.
He's in the Kuiper
I've never heard
belt.
anybody do
Watch
that.
out.
Transpose 2 letters.
Just shut up.
Oh boy. And then seeing Pike in the captain's chair there, right? And they do that traditional original series or those old science guys, the light on the eyes like they did in the original series. I thought that was nice. And everything about this moment, besides Kirk being sick, is just awesome.
Classic. Anyway, the Enterprise arrives to find the fleet destroyed and the Narada drilling into Vulcan's core. Oh, it's a mess. So the Narada attacks the Enterprise and Pike surrenders, delegating command of the ship to Spock and promoting Kirk to first officer, which is crazy for someone who wasn't even supposed to be aboard.
He literally says you weren't supposed to be here anyway.
But he knew his dad. See, this is what they mean by like when there's nepotism. Like this whole movie, I'm just like, Kirk doesn't deserve any of this. Is he technically right? Sure. But I hate that I agree with him. And then we have Kirk, I like how the full name is here, Hikaru Sulu, and Chief Engineer Olsen perform a space jump to the drilling platform. They're like, Power Rangers mode. Olsen is killed mid-jump. Womp womp. We knew that because he wasn't a main person. But Kirk and Sulu successfully reach and disable the drill. Despite the Enterprise's efforts, Nero launches red matter, mysterious red matter, into Vulcan's core, forming an artificial black hole that destroys all of Vulcan. Enterprise manages to rescue Spock's father, Sarek, in the High Council, but not Amanda, who falls to her death before the transporter can properly lock onto her.
Yeah, brutal.
Our good old Winona, ride or die.
I'm so dirty in this film. Yeah. Brittany's
Winona only for a minute.
You had to think about that one, so
no, I was thinking of if it was okay because she died.
Yeah, I mean it's okay.
That was the only pause.
It's fine.
Womp womp. I did like her as the bomb. It was just tragic.
Yeah.
So, were you shocked to see that JJ took the massive risk of alienating fans, possibly, and actually destroying Vulcan? To be fair, it was in one of the previews. We just didn't know it was Vulcan.
True.
Yeah. I mean, was it a risky move when they did it in Undiscovered Country and that to, the Vulcan, that the Klingons' homeworld was no longer going to be,
True.
This was about reshaping everything in that, and the scene of Amanda dying in that, I don't know if people liked it or not, but like it felt kind of necessary in that this was a different Spock and this was a tragedy that informs his life going forward.
Kirk lost a dad. Spock's got
Oh, you told me.
Spock's got to lose a mom. Anyway.
Oh man, I think this is our third one.
I can't believe I've done that.
Anyway,
I want to know what the hell is going on.
I want to know that too, Cisco. I want to know.
We went from originally having 6 people on this show to 4, so it's definitely been a night.
We're a force to be reckoned with.
Indeed. I don't have a problem with them blowing up Vulcan. I have a problem. I said it already. I have a problem with them killing Amanda. I don't think that they needed to kill Amanda, but I know that's the way that gets Spock to give up the captaincy and then have him at the end of the film get promoted from cadet to captain. I guess I don't have a problem with the destruction of the. I mean, I have a problem with all those people dying, but I don't think that it was. If you're setting up a new timeline, you might as well do it, right? Because in the Star Trek that we're watching now, Romulus doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah.
Alternate realities. You lose one planet.
Yeah, you lose one, gain another.
You lose one parent, you lose both. You gain a random sibling, maybe 2.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happens when you play, when shenanigans are played with timelines and like people are introduced from the future to the past and that. I mean, Voyager spent an entire 2 episodes on this in Year of Hell and that, like whole systems being, destroyed, whole civilizations like being just wiped out, So, yeah, it fits. Yeah. I don't know if people like it or not, but at the same time, if you're going to do this, if you're going to reshape it, go big.
How about you, Talix?
It was shocking. Definitely. Since Vulcan is, there would be no Federation without Vulcan. They're in, one of the founding races of the Federation, and Spock's half Vulcan, and some of the best characters, in Star Trek are Vulcans. And just to see that planet where those people originated, especially Spock, be destroyed and his mom die, along the way, that was definitely a shocking scene here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that in theaters.
No, I wasn't.
Because
No.
like you see the planet be destroyed and you're like, oh, it's gonna be like one of those things, crazy
Mhm.
stuff's gonna happen. But then when it actually like they go to the distress signal and they're already drilling
Mhm.
through the planet, and then you
Mhm.
see them drop, like even though
Mhm.
you think you're like Kirk and them save the day, everything's gonna be fine, then you see
Yeah.
that stuff drop in, you're like, oh my god. And
Yeah,
then
they're really going to
when
do this right now.
Yeah.
when Chekhov turns around and he says like minutes, sir, minutes.
Yeah,
Like
you
and
know,
I just started bawling. I was like,
Mhm.
no. Then his mom died, and I was like,
Oh, you're giving me goose.
lots of tears.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that Lexi said on Twitch, and I want to talk to you guys about because it's a good point and ties into something else someone says later on in the chat. Lexi said last night in the chat that when watching the film, it's tragic that in this universe we're never going to get to see a unified Navarre, right? Because Vulcan gets destroyed, and I mean, new timeline or not, a star-going supernova is going to follow the same timeline, so we're going to lose Romulus in this timeline as well, which is it's a little bit sad to think about. But NYRLite brings up since Prime Spock is there, do you think that he gives enough of a warning to the Romulans that because he knows what's going to happen in the future? Do you think that he warns them, or does he follow the temporal Prime directive and let history take its course?
I don't know. He talked to himself, so I already think this Spock is up to shenanigans.
Spock
So I
is
think he was
always-
like, Rami boys,
Yeah.
what's up? The Vulcans died. You won't this time, though.
Yeah. He's always messing around with time and time travel and stuff, so you can't really trust Spock. When it
A
comes to
mock
stuff like
time? A Spock time?
Oh my
Cowboy diplomacy.
Maybe.
Admiral, there'll be whales here. That's all you need to know. They bring whales from the past into the future.
So if destroying Vulcan wasn't bad enough, then the Narada starts moving towards Earth. And Nero tortures Spike to gain access to the Earth's defense codes.
say Spike?
Classic.
She said Spike.
Oh my god. I said tortures Pike.
You said
There's an S. Tortures
you
Pike.
said Spike,
Tortures
Spike.
Pike. There's an
And-
S that flows into. Okay.
as in James Marsden.
Oh my god. Narada goes to Earth. Pike gets tortured. See how it doesn't happen because I changed the. Whatever. I'm done. He gets the defense codes. Shit is just terrible right now. So Spock. Kirk is all about, we need to go after these guys. We can take down the bad guys. We are not going back to the fleet. Like, we have to do this. Gets all up in Spock's face. Is borderline mutinying. So Spock is just like, be gone, Kirk. I almost said be gone, Spock.
I like how matter of fact he is in the moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
When Kirk gets the shit kicked out of him, and then Spock's just like, get him off
Yeah.
my ship.
Well, because he gave him a few chances. He was just like, take him away, like, get him off the bridge or whatever. And then when he's like still beating people up, he's like, yeah, no. Like, get him off my ship. So he maroons Kirk on Delta Vega, living the dream, after he attempts to mutiny. Kirk then encounters someone in a cave. Who is it? Older Spock. That's right, it's Leonard Nimoy, who explains that he and Nero are actually from 2387, which hasn't happened yet, audience. In the future, Romulus was threatened by a supernova. Spock, being the wonderful, I was not going to say human Vulcan that he is, attempted to use red matter to create an artificial black hole and stop the supernova from consuming their planet. Unfortunately, his clock was running late, and so was he. So he did not make it there in time, and Nero had to watch his whole family and all of his people perish. Classic villain backstory. So the Narada and Spock's vessel were caught in a black hole, woo, sending them back in time. Because that's the best way to explain any sort of time stuff. You're just like, huh, singularity? Maybe.
Black hole.
They went, 25 years apart, during which time Nero attacked the Kelvin, changed history, and that's why he was looking for Spock to begin with, and created a parallel universe. So by the time Spock reappears through a black hole, Nero is waiting for him. So Nero stranded Spock on Delta Vega, so he is forced to watch Vulcan's destruction as revenge, because he had to watch his own planet die. That's some pretty deep stuff. So one of the biggest questions was how this film would handle Leonard Nimoy reprising his role as Spock. How did we think JJ and crew did in this regard?
Anybody?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It
Yeah, I
was
thought it was
shocking, to say the
Okay.
least.
Yeah.
I liked it. The fact that they could bring Leonard Nimoy in comfortably into this. They gave him a role, they gave him a purpose in that. It didn't. Everything was changed, but yet he still was a constant in this universe. So I think, it was absolutely necessary to have him.
I like that he wasn't over or underutilized. Like, it was the right amount of Spock. It wasn't too heavy-handed or just oh, fans will love this, and then you take him away. But it was just kind of he's gonna lay the down low to Kirk. He's gonna explain, this is how we build this relationship. This is how you get me out of the chair so you can hop in and save the day. And he's just here's a bunch of knowledge I shouldn't be giving you, but good luck.
Yeah.
And then later on at the end, he shows up and he's like, we did it. And then Spock's like, who's we? And he's like, exactly. I love it. He makes sure everything stays the way it needs to in this parallel universe, even though he doesn't really know for sure. But he's like, Vulcan, don't worry about that. I got it covered.
Yeah.
You don't know who I am, but stay in Starfleet. Be friends with this Kirk boy.
I liked Rob's post here when the theoretical Prime Spock debriefing Kelvin Starfleet. And there's Khan, don't do the Genesis project. Then there's that probe that comes looking for extinct whales, so you need to figure out time travel. Oh, and also God is at the center of the galaxy. Kelvin Starfleet, someone lock up this obvious madman.
Dot, dot, dot. They're like, okay, Spock.
Yeah.
Take him to the brig.
Yeah, take him to the brig. And this comment is great as well. Spock gets, from NYRL, Spock gets a way better ending in the Kelvinverse films than Kirk did in Generations. Do you guys agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Kirk went out like a sucker.
Yeah, he went out like a chump.
Yeah. That was not.
Shouldn't have happened.
No, it shouldn't have. We'll get to the whole Kirk Shatner controversy with this film.
Yeah.
Later.
Stupid loose railing.
Good characters die by loose railings in sci-fi these days. Captain Kirk, Han Solo. Oh man.
Well, you need is a good.
They almost did Riker that way too. Loose railing, bad screws.
That's because he just leans on everything, though. He would go to sit on it, and it's just not there. And R.I.P. Will. Hopefully, he wrote his last will and testament.
Oh, just
okay. Anyway, to finish up Act 2, because like most movies, I'm making Act 2 stretch far too long. Reaching a star. I don't know what you just said.
I said, well done.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Ooh, compliment. Can't believe I missed that. Reaching a Starfleet outpost on Delta Vega, Kirk and Elder Spock. I love how that sounds. Meet Montgomery Scott in the most stereotypical Scottish accent that our chat did not like, because we have real people from Scotland. With Elder Spock's help, Scott devises a way for Kirk and him to beam onto the Enterprise while it's traveling at warp speed. Gotta love math. Stay in school, kids. So following the Elder Spock's advice, Kirk provokes younger Spock, being like, your people died, so did your mom. What's wrong with you? React, please. And forces him to attack him and makes Spock recognize himself as, quote, emotionally compromised and relinquish command to Kirk. So yeah, a lot happened in Act 2.
Two things to point out. There were two references to previous Star Trek in both those scenes. Spock giving Scotty the formula for the transdimensional warping. That felt like when Scotty little thing, but Star Trek 4, when he gave that engineer the design for the glass set he needed to contain the whales.
Transparent aluminum.
Yeah.
Second thing was the whole confrontation between Kirk and Spock when he's trying to get him emotionally riled. TOS, that episode where they were on that planet with the weird spores and that made everybody really passive. Felt like an absolute callback to that episode.
He's like, I see you're passive. I want the aggressive. Let's go. Do we think it was, or what? How do we feel about the way that they got Kirk into the chair? Because there was a lot that went on. They tried to make it make sense. I will say this, but I still don't buy that they would let somebody who wasn't even supposed to be on the ship be captain. Like, I feel like the crew would have mutinied against him. Like, especially when her was like, I hope you know what you're doing. I'm like, she would have thrown him out. Like, come on. She'd be like, I am more qualified than you to sit in this chair at this point. Insanity.
I don't know. Like, we do know that there is a bit of destiny at play in this whole thing.
Yeah,
Man.
they said that word too many times in this movie.
But these people were all in the right place that they needed to be to make this happen. And that I think I got to go with that. They trusted Pike enough that he knew what he was doing and promoting this guy. No, doesn't fit.
I don't know, man.
Listen, at the end of the day, you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit, right? But the fact that at that point he's been stripped of whatever temporary rank that he had because he was thrown off the ship for mutiny. So even though he was originally given temporary first officer, that all goes away when he lands on the planet, right? So for him to one illegally beam back onto the ship, almost fuck up everybody's drinking water. Let's talk about that. And then illegally come back. So the two illegal things, no non-officer should be aboard be on the bridge. So he comes on the bridge, provokes the captain, and then all of a sudden, the captain has to relinquish command because he's emotionally compromised. That part, I believe. Okay, that's right. But it shouldn't have been Kirk who took command. You give it to Sulu. You don't maybe give it to the 17-year-old Chekhov because just no.
Well, you see, he had nothing to lose, and he would like to check off this on his plan. Also, two illegal things maybe make a right. Maybe they cancel each other out. That's what I hoped would happen, but it did not.
So, yeah, just anybody should have been in. We lost.
Oh, no.
You didn't lose me. I left the bridge.
She left
willingly.
She left the bridge.
I'll be back though, like Kirk, when you least expect it.
Yeah. Oh, there she goes again. So I didn't like the way they went about this. I think there could have been a bunch of other clever ways they did it, but I do love Scotty though. I do love Scotty, and when he's telling Keenser shut it, you can eat a bean and you're done. I love his line there. I just love everything about Scotty, even though his accent was very forced. I still like him.
Yeah, there was a lot of Keenser hate during the watch along last night. I love Keenser. He's awesome.
Keenser is awesome.
I don't think I hate any characters.
No, I don't think I do either. Talix, you were kind of you did this when we were talking about the bridge stuff.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's kind of, you have to suspend your disbelief because the plot has to go on. The movie has to, keep going. They have to get to a certain point. So, I guess that was a way for them to get to the point where he's captain, so there weren't a whole lot of other alternatives, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like how it took older Spock to be like, you really want to know how to get under my skin because you're so good at it anyway, but you need a heads up. I really did like how it was the emotional compromise of it, because I mean, I make that joke all the time when I watch a sad movie and then I'm like, I gotta go to work later, but I'm emotionally compromised. But Spock was really going through it and needed to assess that. So I thought that was a valid way of getting him out of the chair. Kirk just weaseled his way into the chair. So I won't ever defend how he got in, but definitely it made sense for Spock to have to leave. So.
Yeah. Real quick, Jay Crabsap on Twitch said something that I cannot let go, and that is that Keenser is Jar Jar, same energy.
No.
I
refuse.
Not at all. No.
No.
No, they didn't make him a focal. They didn't make him a focal point. No, they didn't make him a focal point of the film. And that he was just kind of a cute little addition.
I know.
He had no
He
speaking
didn't
lines.
say anything.
He's awesome.
He wasn't.
That's like hating on Korg and Meep.
And he wasn't weirdly racist.
Yeah, he wasn't a caricature of a specific race. He was just chilling.
Sorry.
All right, y'all, back off. He's scared now.
It's oh, poor. I feel so bad for the Jar Jar actor, but that's for another day. Anyway, much like Montgomery Scott, I thought Act 2 was exciting. Very exciting. I like this ship. It's exciting. Ugh. Ridiculous. So anyway, yeah, that's Act 2. It was a lot.
Act 2 is a lot. Act 2 is a lot. But we're moving on to Act 3. Talix, do you wanna take Act 3 away?
Sure.
Woo!
Woo! After talking with Sarek, Spock decides to help Kirk. While Enterprise hides itself within the gas clouds of Titan, Kirk and Spock beam aboard the Narada. Kirk fights with Nero and IL, killing the latter and rescuing Pike, while Spock uses the Elder Spock's ship to destroy the drill. Spock leads Narada away from Earth and sets his ship to collide with Nero's ship. Enterprise beams Kirk, Pike, and Spock aboard. The older Spock's ship and the Narada collide, igniting the red matter. Kirk offers Nero help to escape, but Nero refuses, prompting Kirk to give the order to fire, dooming Narada to be consumed in a black hole that the Enterprise is only barely able to escape. Of course, we have a giant action set piece to finish the film. What did we think of the beginning of Spock and Kirk's relationship finally starting off, and the end of Nero and the Narada?
As Brittany chows away on some hummus.
I'm eating some hummus, man. Gotta get my protein.
I'll go here. I like, even though I didn't quite buy the way that Kirk got himself in the chair, I like that, you know, Spock has that heart-to-heart with probably Ben Cross's like big moment of the film is Sarek, right? Because we talk about how he's good in the role, but he doesn't really get a lot of good moments. And then Spock comes around and is like, listen, I want to help. Let me kind of be your number one. And you get those first inklings of the relationship between Kirk and Spock. And I really like that. Like when Kirk is like, because Spock, you know, says, I'll go over, I'll get the ship, I'll get Pike. And Kirk's like, well, I'm coming with you. And Spock's like, well, I would state regulations, but I know you will simply disagree. And it's like, boom, there it is. There's
the dynamic.
Yeah.
There's the moments we're going to see for like 30 plus years and beyond. I really like that. As far as the big action scene, listen, who doesn't want to see the Enterprise go pew, pew, pew and see shit blow up? Like, of course.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Of course, the third act is going to end with a giant set piece. Of course, like this movie is one big giant set piece, right? It literally, this movie moves at warp speed, for lack of a better term. There's lots of action. There's some dialogue that is mostly good, but to end with a big action set piece, I mean, this is what JJ was brought on to do, and his team, who've done big action movies like Transformers, were brought on to do, and it works, right? The new phaser,
the flipping phaser.
Yeah, the flipping phaser. I love the flipping phaser. I have one. I don't know if you could see it in my stuff behind me.
That ship has a flipping phaser. Sounds like something Bones would say.
Brittany's replicated hummus.
Hold up. You know what? They just had to learn how to respect one another. That's all it took for their relationship to form.
Hit it.
No, I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of that one. Anyway, okay. I like the set piece. I like the action. I don't know who said it last time. I know that there were some comments about Kirk maybe and Spock being a little bit too brutal about letting the Narada get destroyed like that. But I was like, he destroyed Vulcan. He killed billions of people. Like, I'm pretty sure he kind of got what he deserved. So that's where I'm at on it. I thought it was well done.
A lot of people thought Narada be killed.
I loved everything about the
he rejected it, so you know what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I would rather die in agony.
Okay,
like, how much more emphatically can you say no, thank you?
Exactly.
You can shoot someone with their own gun and throw them over a ledge, however many times it takes.
I don't remember whether we did it on air or off air, but I think it was before we started recording. Hawk was doing like the best Eric Bana. It was
Hawk is Eric Bana.
It did happen. I watched it happen. I saw it happen. Don't tell me it didn't happen.
Rob's calling me out. Pew pew pew, but with a better photon launching sound, right, Julian? All right. I know.
Can I say that? Okay. I absolutely loved everything in the third act, as far as like CGI to realism to like, you know, going back to the original series, and that everything's, that they updated still felt really natural and like, just, updated for our eyes, our viewing eyes. I absolutely loved all the action sequences in the third act. It really ties the entire film together. Whatever quibbles you had about how he got there and that, the third act really makes up for everything.
I like seeing the gang all work together in the third act, so that's what I was waiting for. I was like, I'm tired of this. Kirk and Spock aren't friends. Yeah, he's calling you pointy ears, and that's kind of racist. So I'll let that slide, Spock. I understand why you hate him. But by the end, it was just like, yes, build this friendship. Have this little kind of like headbutting, but understanding. And but I will say, I think that what really wins Kirk over is the fact that like he realizes Spock is making out with Uhura, and he's just like, respect.
Yeah.
You now have my respect, Mr. Pointy.
Game recognizes
like,
game.
That's what it took. He was just like, now I know her first name. And I was like, you're still not, it's too late, bro.
Yeah.
She's with Spock. And once you're with Spock, you're never going back. Here I am. Spock you like a hurricane.
Oh, gosh.
See, I just needed some hummus. My blood sugar was like,
Oh.
That's it. That's all I have for the third act. It's a blast, literally. A blast.
Alex, do you want to continue with the final bit of Act 3 here?
Nah, I'm good.
No, you're good. Okay. I will do it. I'll do it. I'm on board. Here we go. Kirk is promoted to captain and given command of the Enterprise, while Kirk did not get promoted to Rear Admiral.
Never mind, I'll do it.
God.
That did not. Oh, damn. I just got called out. I like it.
You say Nog? What? Wrong show.
Who said Nog? Did Nog get promoted?
No, I thought you said Nog, so I said wrong show.
No, no one said Nog. I'd like to get some eggnog right now. No, it's too late for eggnog. Kirk is promoted to captain and given command of the Enterprise, while Pike is promoted to Rear Admiral, though they still had to put him in a wheelchair because Spock encounters his older self, yet again, breaking all the rules of the Temporal Prime Directive, who persuades his younger self to continue serving in Starfleet, encouraging him to do, for once, what feels right instead of what is logical, because Spock wanted to go to wherever Vulcans colonize after this and do like 24/7 Pon Far, because that's what they needed to do. Anyway,
I heard it was Pon Near. Spock said it wasn't very Pon Far, so
wherever you pawn are.
Near Pon Far. Anyway,
Spock remains in Starfleet, becoming first officer under Kirk's command. Enterprise goes to warp as Elder Spock speaks, "Space, the final frontier," and does the whole "where no one has gone before" speech, monologue, whatever you want to call it, warp speed. Awesome music. Roll credits. Big elephant in the room. Let's talk about it. We've talked about it a little bit already. Kirk's promotion to captain. How do we feel about this?
I think it's like a medium-sized elephant at best. Did they really pachyderm it in there? Yeah, sure.
It's what we all wanted, we got it, it's just, do we have to niggle and pick about how we got there?
Well, I mean, it's what they thought we wanted, it's not necessarily what we actually did want and what would actually make sense, but, pandering, I think.
Yeah. Lots of pandering.
I took it.
Yeah.
I mean, I took it, but it would have been pretty neat to see like the next movie maybe deal with him maybe being on the Farragut for a little bit, and something happens and all of a sudden he's thrust into command for real this time of the Enterprise. Like they could have done a whole movie on that. I think it would have been so much better. Having said that, yeah, I mean, I think we all took it. They were going to do, these are movies, it's not television. You can't tell a longer story, but here we are. So NY Relight said it's silly how Cadet Kirk became captain at the end of the movie. At least they kind of dealt with this a little bit, how that ended up being a bad move at the end, or at the start, I should say, of Star Trek Into Darkness. Though I think he is back to commander, or I think even like lieutenant, for all of 5 minutes, and then We'll talk about it in April.
Shenanigans ensues.
In the darkness, and Pike gets blown away. Yeah, it's
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. Can't spoil a movie from 2012. I guess you can.
That's the Wonder Batch.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Oh boy.
But I feel like if they would have put him on another ship, like you said, the Farragut or whatever, for the second movie, he would have thought that was very unfair. So he just wouldn't. He would have stuck for it. I tried.
And
I tried more than Kirk did to get into the chair illegally.
Failed to go to warp. Anything else on Kirk's promotion?
It would have worked better if I would have interrupted you, but you segued to the chat, and I was like, "No, my joke."
It's gone. It's done.
So it's too late to bring it back, and I should have just let it go.
It is. Any other thoughts on Act 3 and the end of JJ Abrams' first outing as a Star Trek director? No. Then let's move on to one of the more controversial aspects of Star Trek 2009, which was, as some people like to call it, the Hot Rod Enterprise, or the JJ Prize, or the Kelvin Prize, whatever you want to call it. We got a new Enterprise. To this day, it's still the subject of a bit of controversy. People either love it or hate it. Going into the design, if you read on kind of like what some of the ground rules were, the Enterprise itself and its sets had to reflect that same optimism, right, of the original series, while also having a real actual functionality to them. Do you guys think that they accomplished this, or do you think they kind of missed the mark a little bit?
I didn't mind it. I'm not a big ship person anyway, so unless you make a ship that literally doesn't make sense functionally, or it looks really, really, really bad, like, I'm not gonna really comment on it. It looked like it could be an Enterprise. Like, I saw it and I was like, Star Trek. So I was fine. It was also 2009 Brittany, who didn't even know half the shit she's talking about now. But even me knowing what I know now, I still look at it and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's the Kelvin versus Enterprise.
So
does it have nacelles?
JD Haven writes the JJ Prize was too big, but I love it compared to the original 1701. I don't know. Like I loved it. I like that they they didn't mess with the design, which is kind of one of the the worst things you could do in that. But I mean, they've had like how many films up to this point? Oh, 10 other previous films. Like,
10 films before 09. Yeah.
So you knew that I think there was a precedent set that he wasn't going to go crazy in that. And he was going to go back to TOS. He was going to honor the original design while trying to make it much more of a functional ship for today's audience's viewing standards. So.
Plus, he had to put all those pipes somewhere for.
Yeah, exactly.
So it had to be bigger.
Yeah, all of Budweiser into it.
All the Budweiser.
At least we didn't get turbo lifts, that were like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Yes,
a great glass elevator. Yeah,
gotta suspend that disbelief for every Star Trek.
Alex, what did you think of the Apple Store bridge set?
None of the stuff really made a really big impression on me either way. I'm not like a particularly a ship person, or I noticed the bridge, but it was fine.
Yeah. No, I liked it too, and there are always those comparisons. Everybody and their mother called it, "Oh, it looks like an Apple Store," blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, maybe it did look like an Apple Store, but it looked like a really fucking cool Apple Store.
Yeah, it did. So.
Yeah, I like the chair. I like Sulu and Chekhov's booths for ops, and what are you laughing at now?
For a minute, it just sounded like you said, "I like chair," like. Like you're just naming. I like table. I like chair. I
like lamp.
View screen.
Damn it, Hawk! I was gonna say it.
I was like, I like turbo lift. I like Ahura on comms. Like, it was just the phrasing. I don't know why, but I tried to hold it in. It kept back going in my brain. Like, I like chair.
I do love lamp, and I do love chair. The one thing I'll say, going back to today's comment real quick, is I'm going to say something pretty controversial. I don't know. I might get my Star Trek card revoked. The original design of the Enterprise, like the original series Enterprise, it's fine for when it was created. It was made with the technology that they had available, but it is absolutely nothing special. What Kurtzman and his crew and their team have done for Discovery and now Strange New Worlds has taken upon that design and made it beautiful. And what JJ did, while still staying faithful to that, and that design team did, just blew the original series design out of the water. Mag's telling me to be careful. Mag's
like, watch, don't go to sleep with both eyes closed tonight, Julian. You better keep one open.
I will never. I love the design. I like that the nacelles are actually like go way past the ship, and then they're in the back. I loved everything about the design, and Joe agrees with me, so someone's on my side.
All right.
Well, that's the best thing about opinions. There will always be someone on your side and someone not.
At least one. Let's move on to the music. Speaking for myself here, though, I'm sure there are a lot of people that agree. Michael Giacchino's score for this movie and the next two for In a Darkness and Beyond remains at least one of my favorite film scores of all times. How do you guys feel about the music? And I know it's kind of hard to remember track names, but any parts in the film where the music hits you more than others?
I love all of it. Every single second of it. Every time something tragic happens, I'm like, am I crying from the acting or from the music? Go ahead, Hawks.
So is it, besides the ending, which I mean, they reprised the original theme and it was fantastic. I was going back looking at the scene between Spock and Kirk on the bridge when he elicits the emotional reaction and that, and like I didn't realize how affecting the music was at that point in that, because it starts out very quiet in that, and you hear, like, you know, as the tension starts to build, you kind of hear it. It's almost imperceptible, but it almost trickles in, and by the time it gets to the full on fight, it is just blaring at you in that. You know, perfect. It perfectly complemented the tension and the acting going on, and the action at the end. Like Giacchino's score was amazing in this.
Yeah. Alex, any favorite moments?
Probably the beginning, right at the opening, the dun 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 dun. You know, the whole introduction thing. So yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, that's an awesome moment. I love the whole montage of, I mentioned it way back at the beginning of the show, of George Kirk taking the Kelvin on that collision course, and the music that's playing during that, and just how just deep and heavy and emotional it is. And obviously Enterprising Young Men, which is the track of the Enterprise reveal, is just amazing. It also serves as the opening credits, but it's just awesome. I want to go to one, I think Lexi's comments. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Nero fiddles while Narada burns is beautiful. That's near the end. That is a track name. That's when, I believe, Lexi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the end when they're going into the black hole and you're seeing Nero kind of like come to terms with his fate and what's about to happen to him. Yeah, that's a great
No,
music.
it's when he pulls out the fiddle and he actually plays Devil Comes Down to Georgia.
You know,
as the Narada burns around him, he's just like...
Rob says, I don't know the score inside and out or anything like that, but every beat fits the film perfectly. And I think that's extremely hard to argue with. So let's get into trivia and fun facts. Usually I have this kind of stuff assigned, but it got late and I had a bunch of other things to do. So I'm just going to do a counterclockwise rotation. And Alex, give us our first fun fact, please.
Sure. Actor Matt Damon was rumored as Captain Kirk, even soliciting William Shatner's aid in signing him up. Ultimately, JJ and crew went with the younger Chris Pine for the role. Ryan Gosling and Sam Rockwell also expressed interest in playing the role.
Glad it went to Chris Pine. Glad it went to Chris Pine.
Me too.
For all of that. I don't want any of those other three men anywhere near that character.
The only person on that list I would even consider would be Ryan Gosling.
Matt Damon.
Like, I get their big names and they were big around that time too, but at the same time, just now that I know we have Chris Pine, no.
Damon was already too old for the role, which I think is part of the reason that he didn't get cast. So
I like Sam Rockwell.
Probably a little too famous.
Sorry, Alex, what did you say?
I said Sam Rockwell's pretty old too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
He's
Sam
slow.
Rockwell, I think like the next year, the year after, was in Iron Man 2.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Mhm.
didn't look like a spring chicken by any means.
Yeah.
So, no, Chris Pine was right for the role, and I think really
Chris
hit.
Pine was Chris Fine. I can
This-
say that legally
I
because
just
I
love
have
the
no romantic
exasperated little.
attraction.
Every time Brittany makes a pun, I lose a year of my life.
Don't we all? I gain a year.
The next fun fact, please.
So Adrian Brody was apparently rumored to be in talks to play Spock. Brody later confirmed that he had indeed had a discussion with JJ Abrams about the role. Interesting choice.
I would have liked it. I think he would have been great as Spock. Again, I think there might have been a bit of an age issue, but I think he would have been a very good Spock.
I feel like they were just trying to pick people with like noses that were like Nimoy's. Because like
You
I
need
just
the
looked at a
nose. The
picture of
nose
him.
is important.
I know, but like I just looked at a picture of him. I'm just like, I can't see it, but I know why. They were on the nose about it.
I'm just pulling up this comment from Rob because I said I lose a year every time you make a pun. By that math, Julian died in 1752.
I think he would look good with pointy ears though. So I think they were onto something maybe with
Yeah, I think he has the look. I think
they wanted the features.
Yeah.
He would make a good Vulcan,
Angular.
definitely. I just don't think he would be good for Spock.
Well, there you go. Strange New Worlds guest role.
Yeah.
Right? Adrian Brody is a Vulcan. I'll take it.
Maybe.
Brittany, you're up. Next fun fact.
Whoop woo! It was reported that Paramount was attempting to sign up Oscar winner Russell Crowe to play the film's villain, Nero. Crowe said he was apparently up for the role, but he had yet to read anything and could not make a decision until he did. Eric Bana ultimately won the role. I'm once again fine with this because Russell Crowe.
It's funny that they're both Australian.
Well, I'm just thinking like he's another good actor, but like I'm trying to picture him as Nero, and I just like
I don't.
he would have had a beard and hair still. It, like just wouldn't have had the same vibe, you know. Even if they shaved him, that's just weird. He'd still have like a beard. He'd always be doing his Russell Crowe stuff. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like unfortunately he's like typecast, even though he's not.
We have to go back to Spock here real quick because Spotted Giraffe is contradicting herself possibly. I don't know. She's saying Quinto is hotter. Listen to me. I don't know if she's referring to Adrian Brody or Ethan Peck, but we all know that Giraffe.
She's not talking about Ethan Peck.
No, she's definitely not talking about Ethan Peck.
All right.
No. She's saying definitely in comparison between Quinto and Adrian
But
Brody.
could you imagine if he appeared in the Narada and he's just like, "Are you not entertained?" Like I would have just no matter what he said, even if he was like, "Fire everything," like he would have said it like that.
And you just think Gladiator is really subpar singing from Les Mis.
Dude, I was about to bring that up too.
God, Alex. Everybody's reaction. Oh boy. I will read.
601.
Thanks. I don't need to hear him sing ever again. Star Trek Enterprise star Dominic Keating auditioned for the role of Jim Kirk's stepfather, but he did not get the part, and we only hear his voice for like 1 second, and that's Matt Groenberg from Heroes, and he's JJ Abrams' like best.
Yeah, that dude.
Oh, yeah,
that guy.
That guy.
Okay.
Someone just said Engineer 21 just said combat time in the chat, and I got excited because the Mortal Kombat trailer dropped today. It's so good.
Whenever Engineer says that, I yell it.
We're back to the top, and Talix, take us out with our final fun fact.
Yes. TOS actress Nichelle Nichols, my favorite, said that she and JJ Abrams discussed the possibility of Nichols making an appearance in the new film, perhaps as the grandmother of Uhura, the character she originated on TOS. Due to the writer's strike, however, her inclusion into the script was not possible. And that is a missed opportunity right there.
It's the most hurtful thing they've ever done to me.
Yep.
I agree. That would have been a nice.
Writer's strike messed a lot of things up.
Yep.
The writer's strike is why we had Spider-Man 3.
You had to bring that up.
So much bad.
So much bad. Yeah,
I walked out on.
I wish they would have done this. I wish they did a lot of things with some of the old crew. I think they still could have put them in organically.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't our last fun fact. I'm sorry.
It was not. You must
I
scroll.
was on the wrong page, but yeah, I would.
Oh, dude.
The next one you definitely have to read because it's in your voice.
Hawk gets to read the one about the latest douchebag in the Trek verse.
Reading as is, Shatner controversy, yada yada. Well, apparently wanted a role but acted like an ass. So we ask you, what's new?
So
Who debunk it?
yeah, it's a little bit more in depth. Obviously, like he had been in talks from the beginning with JJ and the whole crew about having a role, and they said they had a role for him. He was going to maybe be a voice or a hologram at the end after Spock talks to Spock. Things never happened. They probably thought it was too much fan service. Shatner went on a whole thing years and years after about it, just that he felt disrespected and he should have been in the movie too, and he should have been in the next one and the next one, and just like, oh my god, dude, shut up.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it's
he
all
really
about him, right?
the bet on that one.
Yeah, he did.
It's so interesting that his last name is like a tense for shit because he keeps spewing so much of it.
No, but I do think they missed an opportunity not having Nichelle Nichols in that, because not only just to have her in a new Star Trek project and that, but also expand out her role in the film and that, give her that backstory in that, which she so desperately needed.
Agreed. Brittany, you in fact get the last fun fact.
I get the last laugh, as always. Finally, there are some other really awesome production fun facts in the special features of the film. Highly suggest you watch them.
Yeah,
that's my fun fact.
That is your fun fact. I'm sorry that you got the lame one at the end there.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're the special. If you haven't watched the special features in the making of this film, they're on the Blu-ray. I think they're on the digital version as well. I highly suggest you watch them. There's great stuff in there. All the production fun facts. We can only put a few of them because we're already strapped for time. But watch the special features. They're great. It is time now for our subspace poll and mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
Oh, Nichelle.
Nichelle, she's in our podcast, at least. So we asked if Star Trek 09 satisfied your need for new Trek at the time, or if it left you feeling like you had the external inertial dampener on. And 38% of you said it was amazing. 40% said it was good. 14% said it was decent. 8% said it was mediocre. So with those ratings, I will say we should go and do our normal Strange New Pod rating of this film out of 10. 10 ejected Budweiser warp cores. And we'll do the same rotation. Talix, how do you rate Star Trek 09 out of 10?
I'll say 8.5. Yep.
Hawk.
I will give it. I'm gonna go with an 8.5 in that. I know there's some problems with plot and how we got to how Kirk gets the chair in that, but at the same time, story, action, acting. It was all on par. It was the most satisfying, new reiteration of Star Trek I've seen in a while. So, 8.5. Ejected Budweiser warp cores.
I'll give it a solid 8. I really enjoyed it when it came out in theaters, and I even had the poster above my bed for years. So it's a good solid 8. It just does have a few moments that, even watching now, I'm just like, why? But overall, if it had more for the rest of the crew that you also love, if they had more for Uhura and Sulu, which I know happens later in the films, but still it's you made it so Kirk and Spock, but I wanted more. Give me more Chekhov. Give me more Scotty. Let me eat them. Nourish me. I'm starving.
Oh, both.
The beginning, he's barely in it, So.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I just wanted to see more of the crew. It's another one of those examples where it's a movie where you're getting the gang all together, and at the end you're like, the crew's all here, like the Avengers, and then you're like, now I want more. Now that they're together and they're working together. So.
Yep.
Yeah, solid 8.
Before I go, I will give our Twitch collective here their ratings. So Lexi gives it a solid 7.5. That is a good one. And Spotted Giraffe an 8 out of 10 point out for very few women. I guess she's saying 8 because there are not enough women. Agreed. Killing one and giving no story to the other except the love interest, which I did dig, let's be honest, but still. Yeah, I mean, the Spock Uhura thing, I think we all agree is pretty hot. They're two good-looking people in a pretty decent relationship. So we'll take it. Rob gives it a 9 out of 10. Yeah. I'll go back to Twitch, but because Rob gave it a 9, that was the score I was going to give it as well. So solid 9 out of 10. This First Contact and Undiscovered Country are the Star Trek films I've seen the most. If this is on TV, I'll watch it. Sometimes I'll just throw in the Blu-ray. So yeah, 9 out of 10. And Jay gives it an 8, but as a solo Trek film, only a 6. So I guess a 7 is average. Joe gives it an 8 out of 10. Need more Uhura. It says Aruba.
Correct.
I think we all need Aruba.
They wanted to remove Uhura so bad they replaced it with Aruba.
The only person who shouldn't be going to Aruba right now is Ted Cruz.
Whoa!
Political.
He quote returned with his loot.
I had to. I'm sorry. All right. Engineer says it loses some points for me for being very male centric, but it rocks. So 8 out of 10. And my Raleigh gives it 8 out of 10 nosebleeds. I actually like that rating. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on to the mailbag portion. And we decided to keep this one special for the show. We kept it in-house with our amazing Discord collective. And we'll start with Britt, Lexi's.
Me.
Yep.
So Lexi wrote, the Kelvin timeline was a major gateway for many into the Star Trek universe, including myself. While I was already a fan predominantly of TNG, Star Trek 2009 was a big injection into eventually becoming a hardcore fan of the franchise as a whole. Big same. The excitement was palpable even amongst non-geek folks in conversation, and in my opinion, lived up to the hype. Not only being a way to introduce a new generation of fans, it also gave existing fans new meat to chew on by cleverly being an in-continuity reboot. It offered a wonderful new cast, which offered new angles to beloved characters. Quinto is a delight as Spock, and in my personal opinion, Pine is the superior Kirk. I think I'd agree. A swashbuckling, inspiring, if at times admittedly uneven and nonsensical, adventurous story, an engaging villain that you can understand the motives of and even sympathize with, despite his extreme actions, and a musical score which is easily one of the best in the franchise. It took us from nothing and established a new era that allowed us to reach the golden period of regular content that we get to enjoy now, and for that, I am thankful. You took the words right out of my mouth, Lexi.
Yeah, I mean,
darn toot.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. That was Jay. That was Lexi's mailbag that Britt was reading. I don't want to spend too much time talking about each individual's one because I think their words speak beautifully for themselves. So we're gonna move right along, but very well said, Lexi. Absolutely wonderful. I'm up. Rob wrote ahead of its release and right up to the day it came out, I was very conflicted, probably one part excited, 2 parts worried, cautious. I hadn't been wowed by Voyager in its original run. Fighting words. Kidding. Nemesis was a train wreck. We've already had words about that. And then Enterprise, to borrow the needlessly over-the-top cliche of the time, was just beating a dead horse. In 2005, Star Trek as we knew it, the Star Trek that I grew up with, finally died in
ignominious.
Thank you. Ignominious death. After so many hours of happiness from it as a kid, it had gone out with a whimper. Part of me was sad that it was never going to be any new Trek, but at the time, a larger part of me was kind of glad they weren't going to keep ruining it. A few years passed and rumors of a new movie started to circulate. A whole new creative team of people who hadn't been involved in Trek's death a few years earlier. Wow, that's great news. Agreed. Because fuck Rick Berman. It might be a reboot prequel. Oh, ick, no thank you. They want to reboot and recast the TOS crew? Absolute hearsay. You don't recast the OG Trek Trinity. You don't recast the show that started it all. Are you freaking nuts? Opening night finally arrived. The ads were cool and fun enough to convince me to give it a fair shake, even though I still held some misgivings. I went with my buddy Mike, who is a big Trek fan as a big Trek fan as any of us, but it's definitely a lot harder on it a lot of the time than any of us.
I do want to add, it was absolute heresy.
Did I say what I say?
Hearsay. But
I said
I mean, hearsay works, but heresy is like
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
more powerful. So
2 hours went by. The theater lights came back up. Him and I looked at each other. Holy shit, that was incredible. The cinematography and VFX were stunning. The story, okay, it has some holes. Was fast, fun, punchy, and funny, and entertaining as hell. Most surprising of all, the recasting that I'd so dreaded, they absolutely nailed. Every single one of them felt perfect for the role, and more importantly, their chemistry with each other was so vibrant and real that it both recaptured the TOS magic and created something entirely its own. And maybe most important of all these things combined into a movie that's just a ton of fun to watch. And right, like how many times have we all watched this movie? It's like impossible to count. So, plain and simple, my trepidation and worry before it came out, it was all for nothing. Even my wariness over abandoning the Trek universe timeline I'd always known was blown out of the water. Star Trek 2009 was good. So good that it would be the new direction of the franchise as it seemed at the time. I was thrilled to see where it went from there. More movies with this amazing cast, new TV series in a galaxy with as much pizzazz and fun. Sign me up, dude.
Yeah, bravo.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm getting goosebumps just because I didn't have as much trepidation as you, like going into the movie, but there was that huge sigh of relief at the end, right? Like you were just so happy it was so good at the end, and I love it. Yeah. Talix, are you comfortable reading Jay's mailbag at the end here?
Yeah, sure. Jay wrote, growing up, I was growing up in a time where TNG was on air. My formative years, I really started watching all three shows in the golden age of Trek, as it was often called. But there was a time when my mom couldn't afford cable, so I couldn't watch Space, the Imagination Station, which now in the year 2021 is known as CTV Sci-Fi. But as the internet developed more and more, and with the rise of various ways to get shows, which of course I won't exactly mention, wink, wink, I was able to eventually finish Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Prior to doing this, the last episode of Star Trek I had actually seen on TV was Deep Space Nine's Visionary. And for years, I actually thought the station had blown up, as I next saw one of the episodes where the Dominion had taken over the station, so Cisco was actually working on a Federation starbase like 2 years later. Anyways, I was not excited when I heard that JJ was going to be doing Star Trek 09, as I was afraid that it was going to kill Star Trek even more than what Enterprise or Nemesis did. I thought since Star Trek had been canceled in 2005 with the end of Enterprise, they were just using the IP. I didn't watch it as I took a lot of the haters' advice about JJ Trek until they announced they were making Into Darkness. And I decided, well, if the movie was popular enough to get a sequel, then it must have had enough love from the Trek fandom. So I rented it with my fiance at the time, now ex-wife. I can honestly say Into Darkness, without it even being filmed yet, is the reason I am part of ASNP. Through many steps down the line, because I fell so back in love with Star Trek. I consider Star Trek 2009 to be my top 3 Star Trek films of all time, with Beyond and First Contact being there as well.
Woo woo!
That was well said. Awesome.
Yeah, that was very well said.
I do love that everybody who did have trepidations about the film that we've heard from, have just had all that kind of just, taken away after they saw the film. That's so awesome.
Trials and tribulations.
Indeed. Hawk, our final mailbag of the evening.
All right. So Captain Pikachu wrote, a late response here because power outage and no internet. Yay, snowstorm. Woohoo.
Got ours. Oh my God.
Yeah. But 09 Trek movie is my first Trek film in theaters, and all I could think about when I saw the film was that this is everything I ever wanted Star Trek to look and feel like. Much of old Trek felt constrained and dated to me, but I love them for what they are. But this film made me finally think that Trek could truly be the story of the future that it always wanted to be. It truly felt like a proper space adventure in the stars with the story and visuals to match. And I also thought Roddenberry must be proud that his creation after all this time still got to stand tall and matter. Also, the first 11 minutes of the film is still the best opening of any Trek film, dare I say, even any film I've seen. It was effective, emotional, and really set up this different timeline and stakes immediately. Absolute perfection with incredible performances by Chris Hemsworth and Jennifer Morrison that made me immediately care about them, even though I had just met these characters. It was a film that really was able to stand on its own and bring in new viewers into the universe, while also respecting the canon that came before, but not entirely rely on it by placing itself into a different alternate reality. The film really is quite genius the more I think about it. To be able to balance the old and the new, a perfect reboot starter with a recasting that is almost universally beloved. I mean, when does that ever happen? New, bright young filmmakers took the story of early years Spock and Kirk and told new stories that I truly think were even better than Roddenberry could dream of. Just like he wanted.
BRB gonna go cry.
Yeah. Oh man. I do have to say one of the point that Captain Pikachu made about Jennifer Morrison and Chris Hemsworth. I don't know if this movie with that opening has the same effect if it's at two other actors. I really don't. They're in it for what, like 8 minutes in the intro. I'm not exactly sure how long it is, but Chris Hemsworth, I think, was either just cast as Thor or wasn't even Thor yet. And Jennifer Morrison was, I think, her career
on House.
Yeah. So, I mean, for these two actors who weren't even the leads of the film to bring us into it the way they did, I mean, I think they're right in the comments, like just pure perfection in that sense. So well done.
Mm-hmm. They make me cry every time. So they did
Yeah,
something
boy.
right. Every time. Don't talk. Don't talk.
Let's name him Jim. I love that line.
Stop. Stop.
Like, oh,
Stop quoting it.
Here they go.
Tiberius? Oh, no.
Awful. Let's name him after your dad. Let's call him Jim. Oh, now I'm crying. Oh my god.
I hate it.
Well,
Just try not to cry.
try.
I'm thinking of the whole scene.
Guys, this has been part 1 of our awesome Kelvin Universe deep dive. We can't wait to bring you the next one with Star Trek Into Darkness. This has been just an absolute blast. This whole week talking with everybody about the film. Talix, you joining us for this one has been incredible. So thank you, and thank you for being one of our awesome Patron Collective members. It means so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I had a blast.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear it. Thanks everyone else for joining tonight, staying with us through the chat. We have Into Darkness coming for you in April. We have a bunch of other content coming in March, so we're going to kind of spread these out to enjoy them a little bit more. So wait for April for Into Darkness. We will be back next week with our Patron's Choice episode. We waited to announce it on tonight's show. So next week, I think it was pretty unanimous. We are talking everything Star Trek short treks. So go back, watch those short treks. We're going to talk about all of them, our favorites, ones that we want to get made, and a bunch of other stuff. I will also say real quick that if your choice didn't get picked this month, please put it again for next month, because just because it didn't get chosen this month doesn't mean it won't the next. So just keep putting them in. We want everybody to be able to have their patron's choice. Right before we go, Brittany, if you guys didn't know, we finally reached 53 Twitch followers. We needed 50. We're at 53. We're that much closer to affiliate, which means we have a contest winner.
Woohoo! So remember, like maybe a month or so ago, I posted pictures of the 3-pack of awesome original series Star Trek figures. It was Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. We put in all the names from our Twitch followers, and jumbled them up and chose. So we have our winner of this awesome prize, which is Shamrock15. So Shamrock15, we will be messaging you. I think it has to be through Twitch because that's your Twitch name.
Twitch, I think that's their username on Discord. So if we don't reach them on Twitch, we'll reach them on Discord.
Well, we'll try with Twitch and Discord. You can get back to us on whether or not you want this prize, and we'll connect with you so we can find out how to ship it to you. If for some reason you don't want it, let us know and we can draw somebody else. But you won! Isn't that awesome? Just for following us.
So that is going to do it for this week. Join us directly following this episode in our Discord collective for our weekly Best of Trek series. I don't know what we decided. I'm letting our crew decide this week because it's a little bit more fun that way. But we'll have an awesome episode of Trek. You can join our Discord via that link right there. So I will say, for Aaron, who unfortunately had to split early because of connection issues, for Eric, we hope that your heater gets fixed. That's got to be brutal in a snowstorm. For Talix, for Hawk, for Brittany, I am your host, Julian. We will see you next week. Live long and prosper. Majram. Majram.